All right, I've just finished Stop, and now I see that the next song in the series is The Trial. I guess that makes sense to me because he was waiting in a cell in the last song, so there's some sort of progression here. It's interesting the way he takes an idea and makes it flow smoothly into the next song, but by the time we're at the end of that song, there's a different idea which has come out of it, and we are going into yet another idea. So here we are starting with this idea of waiting in a cell, and then I'm coming to the trial. Now, the music was supposed to segue smoothly, so I'm going to back up just a little bit, play the end of Stop, and go straight into the trial. Interesting. So I hear chains clanking, doors creaking, somebody walking down an aisle, and this march of doom. What's coming next? But then I hear this cute little waltzy, dum da dum da bum 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 bum, which is a interesting little thing to put in that context.
Good morning, worm, your honour. The crown will plainly show the prisoner who now stands before you was caught red-handed, showing feelings of an almost human nature. This will not do. Call the schoolmaster.
Okay, I feel like I'm in a sort of a listening to a Broadway show, theater. The voice is like this very cinematic, dramatic, expressive, storytelling voice. I can see why you might even call it opera in a way, although I wouldn't call it a classical opera. But obviously, it's in this theatrical style, and it conveys so much in that style that, I mean, maybe it's because it's a style that's more familiar to me. I can relate to it, or maybe it's just because it's so incredibly good and it works so well. Probably that's why he chose it, because it sets a dramatic scene, and I feel like I'm looking at a stage and I can see all that's going on in this play.
For you was caught red-handed, showing feelings. Will plainly show the prisoner who now stands before you was caught red-handed, showing feelings of an almost human nature. This will not do. Call the schoolmaster. I always said it come to no good, didn't he? And if they let me on my way, I couldn't bleed them into sheep. But my hearts were tied, the bleeding hearts, and I just lay 'em going. We must have let me hammer him today.
Wow, this is theatrical. This is really something. I guess I like it. I like the drama of it. I like the descriptiveness of it. I like the flair it brings. Um, he's using some really great chromatic elements to put emphasis on certain notes in a compelling way. And I guess I'll dig into that a bit in the in-depth. But let me just go back here. You see here where we have this showing feelings, right? And this A sharp right here is just one small bit of distance away from the next note right here. And that's why it slides up so easily. Feelings. And that's what the vocalist really exploited. Exploited in the way she sang it. But we hear that same little bit of small distance often already. And it's working so well in this music. I'm going to talk more about it in the in-depth portion. I don't want to go too analytical right now, but it's happening here and here and here and here and yeah, you get the idea. It's also interesting to me that this person, at least in Stop, I got the impression that just this person chose to have himself judged. But now it seems like it was like he had a question about himself. But now it seems like in this courtroom scene, as it's developing, it's more like others accusing him, which is, I'm not sure how it connects, unless maybe it's how he thinks of others accusing him. But anyway, that's the way some of these things are. They make you stop and think, and they're maybe not really clear right away because they want you to puzzle over it and they want you to think. Also, I noticed this, let me hammer him today. Again, that's a lyric content thing, but that was the same word being chanted by the crowd in Waiting for the Worms at the end as the crowd was building it on the other side of the bridge. They were chanting hammer. And now this school teacher wants to hammer him. Just an interesting little side note. Let's keep going.
The bleeding hearts and artists where I'm going. We must have him today.
I'm having a hard time going on. There's so much to notice. This right in here, I think, is where it is. Let me just check.
The bleeding hearts and artists where I'm going. We must have him.
Yeah, it's right in here where that violin just cuts through and then flies up, just lets it go. It's edgy, it's forceful, it's accusatory and kind of triumphant this whole section has this sort of victorious feel, like I've got you now and I am going to crush you. Okay, I promise I'm going to try to let it go on this time.
Stop! said it come to no good in the end.
You can hear the glee, the celebration of, I can get you. I can say what I want.
Hearts would say, the bleeding hearts and artists way I'm going. We must let me hammer him today. Crazy, toys in the attic, I am crazy. Truly gone fishing. They must have taken my marbles away.
Okay, so this must be the accused character here. Saying I am crazy, truly gone fishing. In other words, absent, not right in the head. Something's really messed up with me. It's like he's taking this as this school teacher witness as telling the truth about him, which is so interesting because he's been rejecting this message for so long. But now as he seeks connection or seeks to find out what went wrong, he starts accepting the message which had been pushed on him since childhood.
They must have taken my marbles away.
And it's so cinematic, and the orchestra is just going with it and pulling it all out, and enjoying the expansiveness of the moment as if it's some sort of wonderful revelation. And then the children's voice comes in, children's chorus almost, like even the children are saying he's crazy.
You little shit, you're in it now. I hope they throw away the key. You should have talked to me more often than you did. But no, you had to go your own way. Have you broken it?
You hear what's happening in the orchestra there. It's like somebody is whipping. It's like a
Away the key. You should have talked to me more often than you did. But no, you had to go your own way. Have you broken any homes up lately? Just 5 minutes, Worm, Your Honor. Hear me alone.
Okay, so now this is the accused, the defendant's wife, who's bringing these accusations. And again, it's in this triumphant, gleeful, celebratory tone of meanness, where it's making me think back to what we heard in the first part of the album with the school children, when the school teachers were behaving so badly towards the kids, but of course everybody knew that when they went home, their wives would treat them badly too. And here, this wife is kind of behaving in that way. I find it really effective what he's done, and that is that he's taken this imagery from early in the album about wives beating their husbands within inches of their lives, and now he's placed it in the courtroom, and it's not spoken, it's not in the lyrics, it's in the music, where you hear this whipping, this beating taking place. And I'd like to hear that develop one more time.
You little shit, you're in it now. I hope they throw away the key. You should have talked to me more often than you did, but no! You had to go your own way. Have you broken any homes up lately? Just 5 minutes, worm, your honor. Hear me alone.
And so it's happening. You hear this little whip strike in the music here and here and here. And so it goes kind of in the same pattern. Here, here, and it becomes very strong right in here. I think I'm marking those in the right place. Let me just double check.
You had to go your own way. Have you broken any homes up lately? Just 5 minutes, worm, your honor. Hear me alone.
And then that trumpet, bom, 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 again, like, I have got you now, I win, you're in my power, just him and me alone, and it's done. Okay, let's go on and see what's coming next.
Any homes up lately? Just 5 minutes, worm, your honor. Hear me alone. Come some more, baby, let me hold you in my arms. But I never wanted him to get in any trouble. Why do you ever have to leave me, worm, your honor? Let me take him home.
Okay, so that's the mother coming in, and she's just begging. All she wants is her baby back to him. He is still her baby, and he can't do anything wrong. It's not his fault. He messed up. Let me just bring him home. The music it's the same accompaniment that we have before, but it changes quality to suit the voice and the character.
Come some more, baby, let me hold you in my arms. But I never wanted him to get in any trouble. Why do you ever have to leave me, worm, your honor? Let me take him home.
And at the end here we have this chromatic descent in the voice, which isn't really shown in the music here because it's spoken, but it kind of goes down chromatically. And at the same time, in the bass, you have this chromatic ascent, and so they are traveling towards each other in this way to kind of build the pressure. Okay, let's see what comes next.
Your honor, let me take him home. Crazy over the rainbow, I'm crazy. Bars in the window. There must have been a door there in the wall when I came in.
So when the accused speaks, the orchestra is in this much more free-flowing style. Kind of like it's a revelation. It's just, the world opening up. Something is enlightening the mind. Okay? Obviously, it's the wrong things enlightening the mind, but that's what the orchestra is doing. We hear this. And then the other thing. So when was Somewhere Over the Rainbow written? I'm not exactly sure, but I get the feeling that again he's quoting a well-known other piece of music here in the lyrics. And if that's true, then what he's doing with it again, just like he did with Lullaby, and just like he did with Rule Britannia, now it's happening here with Over the Rainbow. He's completely changing the meaning of it, and instead of being this idea of freedom and you know, fanciful, imaginative, no boundaries. Suddenly, it's I'm over the rainbow crazy, and bars in the window. That's not fanciful, that's not imaginative, that's not this sort of child's dream of freedom. I love the way he quotes these things throughout and suggests other musical ideas which he's not actually putting here, but he's using it in a cultural context, in a popular awareness way to bring in other ideas. It's a nice way of using music without actually using music. It actually happens in classical music too. But anyway, let me listen to this once more.
Take him home.
Crazy over the rainbow, I'm crazy. Bars in the window.
There must have been a door there in the wall when I came in. Over the rainbow, he is crazy.
That's menacing there. Right, I heard it start to change, but I just wanted to say, even in the shape of the melody here, he's not quoting Over the Rainbow, but he is alluding to it in the shape of the melody. And if you remember the tune of Over the Rainbow, you will recognize that you could kind of say that he pulled it out of there a little bit, and then like right here, and then of course this is his own business in here. And when the children's voices come and do this, children's voices again, Over the Rainbow is crazy, and the words of the song talk about somewhere in a land I heard in a lullaby, and way up high, and something about birds flying, and all these childhood dreams and fancies. And now he brings in this children's chorus to sing this, that he's crazy. And it's amazing. All right, let's go on and hear whatever comes next.
The evidence before the court is incontrovertible. There's no need for the jury to retire. In all my years of judging, I have never heard before of
That was something. It makes me want to celebrate just a little bit, even though I feel like the sentence was really unfair. The fact that this wall is gone, to me, feels so wonderful. A second chance. Everybody needs a second chance. Every generation needs a second chance. Every society needs a second chance, but especially every individual. So that was a bit of a long stretch, but I couldn't break it. I just couldn't break it. I want to go back because there were a few things that stuck out to me in the instrumentation that I just found interesting in the moment. I want to tell you about those, and then I suppose I will have a lot to say about this eventually in the second part. Okay, so I think I'm starting in roughly the right spot. We've just finished with the children's chorus saying, "Over the rainbow, he's crazy," and here comes the sentence. It's like, it's not quite time for the hammer to strike and say court is closed, but it has that same sort of strike effect, like the decision is made, it's done, time to shoot the arrow, there's no more discussion. Pow! That's it.
The evidence before the court is incontrovertible. There's no need for the jury to retire. In all my years of...
It's very dark and deep here, of course. It's the sentencing. You can't change it. Whatever's going to be done is done. And so you have all these deep instrumental sounds. But even in the middle of all that, you hear this dee-da right in here, which comes from earlier in the song.
In all my years of judging, I have never heard before.
And right in here we have bum da bum ba. It's here. It's not written in my music, of course, because this is a piano reduction score. And what we have here is very orchestral. But you can hear those little bits as if the judge in his sentencing is considering all that has been presented in court. These musical hints were very strongly featured in each of the witnesses' testimonies. And so when we hear that little echo of it, it's as if that's what's going through the judge's mind in that moment and has made him decide to speak what he does.
Years of judging, I have never heard before of someone more deserving of the full penalty of law. The way you made them suffer your accusing wife, mother, fills me with the urge to defecate. Since
And just as they say, shit on him, then he says, since. And this music underneath is still going, da-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum, da-dum. It's like, it's not going to let up. The judgment isn't going to allow you any permission or negotiation. And the judgment has been decided. It's coming. This is just the onslaught, the avalanche, the closing of the door.
since, my friend, you have revealed Your deepest fear. I sentence you to be exposed before your peers. Tear down the wall.
And the music just builds to this big climax of, here is the sentence.
You to be exposed before your peers. Tear down the wall.
So here we have this children's chorus chanting again. The children's chorus we've had feature all the way through the album. Starting with We Don't Need No Education. And then continuing to show up from time to time for very effective, intentional purposes. And then this tear down the wall is also harking back to the chant of the crowds in, what was the song? The one with the bridge, the marching.
Waiting for the worms.
Yeah. It's also harking back to the chanting of the crowds in Waiting for the Worms, because obviously this judge is addressed by Worm. And so there is a lot being brought into this with just very small musical means. In this case, it's the children chanting a message. Is it just children, or is it also a larger crowd? It's a larger crowd too. It's not only the children, it's all the crowd. Of course, it's the whole courtroom, but it's everybody who's come along in this story up till now, and not only the adults but the children are involved in this. And the chant continues. Remember that moment when I pointed out that sound early in this song? Let's see. Yes, right? Let me erase. No, let me just circle here again. No, I'll do it in a different color so you can see. Right here where I said there's that sharp shriek of a violin or something. I'm not convinced it's a violin, but anyway. Now we hear it at the end here in this crowd as well. And then we have this other bassoon or tuba or something basically laughing at us. And it's fading away. And now, of course, here comes the demolition. And of course, it's supposed to go to the next song, which I will in just a moment. But that was quite the drama. I could see it working great on stage. I think if nobody's done it yet, surely somebody, some class, school group or something, school theater group has done this on stage at some point. Surely they must have, because It's so well set up for something like that. So, now I'm feeling quite celebratory because the wall is gone. Let's see what comes next. See if my celebration is justified.